Hi everyone, we're continuing from lesson 3 to number 4. First thing we're going to do is add a banner image that will teach you how to position images, and after that we're going to do a drop down menu so that you'll learn a bit more about absolute positioning and also how to do modals. Okay, let's get started. So first thing, I'm just going to remove a whole lot of this stuff because we don't need it. Okay. And going to get rid of this gray box. We've got that on app layout. Here where we wrap the child pages. So we don't need that background there. No padding. None of this. Okay, I'm gonna keep the div though. Okay, so the first thing is I want to add a div that wraps the full width of the page, and on a large screen we want to center a block for the image. So I think let's do that as a subcomponent. So let's call this banner.tsx default banner. And what I often find very helpful is if you add background colors to divs, so you can better see what's going on. Let's add that banner to the front page. Okay, so banner goes there. Let's add a container in here. Class name container. So let's give this a blue so you can see what's going on. Let's put the text inside that one. Okay, so container will limit the size, but as you see it's left aligned. We want to center it, so to do that, MX auto. So this is margin in the x-axis, automatic, and that will cause it to be equal on both sides, left and right auto. Cool, so that will center it. And we don't need the green anymore. Boom, cool. And let's set the height. Just be aware when you use sizes, you can't use any numbers that aren't defined in the tailwind, like presets, right? So you can't do 57, 58, you have to use one of these. Otherwise it's just going to be like you didn't type any height in there at all. Let's do 80. That looks good. Cool. The next thing is let's get a background image. I'm just going to go to Unsplash. Let's find an image. This one looks pretty cool. Let's download that one. Where's the download button? Ay. Did they change it? Open a new tab. Okay, that's fine. Cool. Save. I don't know what. Okay, let's do a crop. I think if we go like this. Image. Here we go. And we're going to drop it into public. And let's call that banner. Okay, sorry about that. Let's carry on. So we're gonna use the next image. So image from next image. So we use that instead of the image tag, use this one. It can be sometimes a bit of a nuisance, but it provides nice extra features for like automatically resizing very large images, and yeah. Next will also complain if you don't use it. Okay, so slash banner.png. You can also just type it in like that. And let's see, if you had like subfolders in here, you'll just type in like, you know, folder names, whatever. Okay, let's see, it wants a width. Let's do width equals 2000 and height 1000. So these are like rough guides for the compression algorithm to set maximum sizes. Okay, so what's going to be the easiest way to illustrate what's going on here? Let's do 50% opacity. So I made the image slightly transparent, so you can see it's filling the box, but it's overflowing down the bottom. And we want to center it in here and clip it so it doesn't overflow out of the div. So to do that, overflow hidden, that crops it, and the nice side effect is you can do rounded corners as well, which makes it look quite fancy. And we'll keep the class name in there. So if you're happy with that, you can use that, you know, but you see we need to actually move it up a little bit. Okay, let's see, how are we going to do that? Also, the other thing is, what if we wanted to place text on top of this? I think let's actually do that first. So let's do an H1, and let's call it like fancy heading here. And you'll see it actually tries to put this heading below the image that also gets cut off. So to get around that, we set the main container to be relative. And now we can have, let's just place it on here, absolute, and we can say top 0, let's do right side 0. Cool. So this will force this component to be on top and to the right. Let's do 20 padding there, like 40, almost 30. 30, that's one of the numbers that doesn't exist in the spec. Text 2XL and text white, font bold. Okay, that's fine. And say you wanted to add more text underneath it, just add a div, span, and this is a subheading, maybe a paragraph. Let's see what span does. And then we'll just move these into this div. It makes sense to put the text white on that one as well. And maybe text right for right align. There we go. Okay, let's see what we can do about this image. So this one will also be, let's see, absolute, like the text, and we'll do left 0, right 0, top, bottom, and actually wrap this in another div. Just for a bit more control. Okay, let's do object cover and flex on there. There we go. Yeah. A higher res image would have been nice, but this works pretty well. Okay, then just to quickly share the documentation, tailwind, CSS, and we want to check out object cover. So there's a few options here: contain, cover, fill, and examples. Very nice. Okay, so that's the heading. Let's do a quick menu drop down. Let's add one in here and maybe some subcategories. Let's go to the nav and we're gonna copy this one. Instead of it being a link, it's going to be a button. And let's call it products. Right, so it looks like the others, but it's not a link. And when we click it, we want a menu to appear. So I'm going to build this just to keep things simple for now in the same file. So let's call it nav dropdown. I'm going to do empty, I don't know what you call it, empty braces, brackets. Let's do the button there. And we'll add a div. Const open state equals use state false. So we'll use this for the open state of the menu. So when we click it, we want it to open, so it should only appear when it's open. And let's call this the drop down goes here. And on click open state, and we want it to be able to toggle, so we do the opposite of open. So if it's true, it will become false, and if it's false, it will become true. Okay, let's see, nav drop down, so let's add it back in here. Okay, now it's just about using absolute again to position it. So let's do a div relative absolute left 0 top 0. Let's see what that does, and let's add just a color that's visible. Okay, so it's covering it at the moment. Let's see what happens when you set this to bottom. Okay, so that's going to align the bottom of this green box to the bottom of this div. And we want to align it to, let's do another, I think this will work. Let's add another div. Class name, so this one we're going to make absolute. And we're going to set this to bottom. And I want to set the height to, I think 1 pixel, maybe 0 pixels. BG red. And let's just hide that for now. Left 0, right 0. Yes. So that red div will be at the bottom of that button, and now we can use that one as the relative. Another one in here. I know it becomes a little bit tricky. Relative. This one will be the top of the red one. That makes sense, right? Boom. Let's add some padding to it. And you see here, now it's going behind this banner image. So to get around that, there's this property called Z index. And we want this to always be just like on top of everything. Maybe we have modals in the future, but I think it's pretty safe to use a high number like 40. Cool. Let's just make it look like everything else. So neutral, 100, rounded with a shadow. And we can get rid of the red. There we go. Let's make it a bit bigger. Cool. And it's pretty simple to add the buttons in there, hey? Should be pretty straightforward. Yeah, that's it for now. Maybe just to add one quick note, if you don't know, say you wanted to have multiple of these drop downs. We'll basically just reuse the same component, and yeah, I know at the moment you can open two at the same time, so you have to kind of like share state and make sure that the other one disappears. Or what we often do is create a huge invisible div that if you try to click another button, you're actually clicking on the invisible button in the background, which will hide that one. But I think for this tutorial, this is fine. Cool. Cheers.